So in this video, we're looking at a hand-assisted split squat. Now this movement is a good entry-level movement for a split squat motion, something where you're actually contending with your own body weight. And this is here almost like a little bit of a balance support and a little bit of assistance to some degree as well. We don't want to become too reliant on it because we want to make sure that our legs are obviously doing the majority of the work. But if we're struggling in terms of our depth, we're struggling in terms of creating force in a certain position, or we're struggling with our balance, this is a fantastic movement to just prep you to eventually stepping away from it and being able to handle your own body weight a little bit better, okay? Along the lines of a normal split squat, we want to set up to the point where if you have a pad underneath you, this can be an easier way of sort of seeing this in action, where you set up at about 90 degrees with the knees underneath the hip, and then like a 90-degree angle as well with the lead leg. You also want to think about it as well as sort of setting the feet about hip width apart, ideally not kind of cross yourself, where you're once again going to find that balance a little bit of a struggle. So if this is your first time seeing a split squat, you want to make sure those two kind of things are in place initially. Once you've got your distance well, you want to make sure that you stay somewhat in the middle between the legs. You're not leaning too far forward, you're not leaning back, right over the middle between the two legs. You've got your hand just to the side. Ideally a rack, something solid, is going to work a lot better. That way you can actually pull at it if necessary if you do find yourself going off balance. And you can see here I'm on the back legs. Now what I like to focus on with a split squat is there's probably about 60% of my weight going into the lead leg, about 40% going into the back leg. And if I focus more predominantly on this back knee relaxing, that's what gives me the better positioning to allow me to then drive up from that bottom position. If I'm too stiff with that lead leg, that pushes me forward excessively. It kind of pushes me too far forward into the ankle and makes it a little bit of a different movement as opposed to a regular split squat that we're looking for. So to some degree, focus on that back knee, take your time as you go down, use the hand as much as you feel is necessary. If you find it's a big struggle, you need to pause, you need to re-grip with the hand before you drive back up, that's no problem. And as I said, probably about 60% of the push coming from that lead leg, 40% coming in terms of a drive from the back leg. But you can see there quite easily, I can adjust as I see fit, but I've got the hand there. Almost like as I progress, I can have more of a strong hold to the frame. And then over time, I can literally think of what would be like my fingertips, just helping me if necessary, to then eventually progressing on that I don't need the rack. But for the moment, just as an entry level movement to something like a bodyweight split squat, make sure you have the rack here as something to help. And if necessary, if you want to progress even with this sort of body weight variation with a little bit of assistance, you can hold a weight in hand, but ideally we're probably advancing it to the point where we don't need this anymore, and that's where we move on to something like a regular dumbbell split squat in terms of progressing this movement, okay? So if you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comment section below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the page if you want to see more videos like this in the future, but for the moment, I'll see you soon.